long-range engage the need to get on the backline.
And after the first 3 picks, I was kind of sat there thinking, okay, again, straight up, even 5v5s, that's not really what you want as the Unicorns here. Find your X Factor. Find another way to outplay these situations. Realm Warp helps. And when you have that Bard and the Bard ult, that Tempered Fate, that certainly helps. Something which is much harder to play around, though, is this early game Lucian's top.
I was just about to say, we have seen Cabochard play this multiple times so far in this tournament, and he has been so clinical with how he's able to get these advantages. I will say it has generally gone into tanks, so a little bit of a different setup here now.
It is generally into those tanks, but either way, it shows the identity of Karmine Corp, where they put so many early game resources into Cabochard and just leave him at a point where he's so far ahead that he takes over the game on his own.
Yeah, and I feel like there's tools for Unicorns to disrupt that, right? We've seen the Realm Warp being a fantastic one. The fact that you have a Bard who can roam, even up as far as the top lane in the early levels with the extra movement speed from the Chimes. But I feel like the problem is if you let Cabochard run away with the game, it's going to be a massive problem. But on top of that, it's that backline. I feel like you don't have fantastic answers.
That's what I was just about to say. Like I said, I'm looking at Karmine Corp, it's very squishy. If you're landing onto the Lucian, the Azir, the Jinx, they're gone. There's nothing you can really do about that without blowing summoners. So we'll see what both teams are able to kind of work with it. But right now, it does feel like Unicorns have come in with a plan. They have a set of action, and getting that rise, like you mentioned earlier, Dan, it's just going to be so powerful in the mid game, and that's going to be somewhere we're going to really have to hone in on.
It does feel like, to me, zooming out from the series and actually across kind of the whole bracket we've seen in the knockouts, it does feel as though that early game has come more and more under a spotlight. I talked about it a lot in terms of LDLC, and LDLC are now really that big team, which every other team is looking towards and saying, how do we beat that? And it feels like early game has been the question. Karmine Corp, they have tools to play through their lanes. Other side, Unicorns have some ways to disrupt that if they manage to survive the initial onslaught.
I think the thing to say is that, K-Corp coming in with huge expectations, but they weren't the winners of the LFL, right? That was LDLC. And you look at this roster from K-Corp and the expectations as was set up in the pre-show with Sky High and are Sky High for this lineup. I feel like, that extra level of coordinated play is what K-Corp needs to be competing for the top spot.
We talk about this all the time. You see a Jarvan, you need to be ganking. So where do you want to see this Jarvan going? What do you want to see him doing, and where do you want to see him doing it?
Okay, so there are actually multiple modes of thoughts. I think either way, you just want to get a numbers disadvantage, because if Jarvan turns up into a lane with Jin's out in it, that is a horrible play for Karmine Corp. I think you can butt heads pretty much anywhere across the map. So for me, it's less about where he goes, it's about the information he has when he's going there. So I'm dodging the question, but
I was going to say, you know what? That was some fantastic navigation from not answering my question, But as I said, it's a bit colorway. Yeah. Say something without saying anything at all. That's just how it is. But again, we'll see how it ends up kind of roaming around. Of course, you do have the early Xin Zhao, so that's going to be something as well. And I always love seeing this from the early jungle pathing, basically moving around the vision so you don't have to get caught.
This is kind of what I was talking about, though, in terms of avoiding the question, right? Because you can see down on that mini-map, there's already a ward over in the Raptors. Lurox dodges out that by going around the slightly elongated path. So 113 doesn't have a lot of information. Lurox has the first play.
This is good. This is smart play from Unicorns of Love, Sexy Edition, but they need to make it stick. There is no wards right now for Cabochard. They are level 2. We'll be hitting level 3 at the end of this wave, you would imagine, but they got to go now. Here we go. They're going to try and fully in. He dodged in. He's gone a bit early, but Cabochard is now just trying to see if he can get over the wall. He's going to be flashed and followed. I don't think there's much else he can really do. It's going to be a 1v1 at the end of it all, and it's first blood to Unicorns of Love.
And I mean, at least he doesn't give over the assist gold, but Cabochard, not what you want for that lane matchup, and just a really heads-up play from Lurox. Completely skips through the vision, avoids any possible chance of being spotted out, and delivers a perfect gank.
And this is exactly what I wanted to see from the Unicorns. A stable early game, hitting the points of power from Karmine Corp. They have so often played towards topside, and by playing around the early information game, making sure that they're skipping those wards, really gets a huge victory here.
And I'd even say that early ward they put the Tri-Brush meant they knew there hadn't been a ward placed in return. You obviously know if there's a ward put in River if Cabochard moves there. Perfect information, a really smart play to try and find some favor in the matchup now. Don't expect anything here, but 113 is going to show up and just allow his bot lane. Actually, they might look for the dive. This is risky.
Yeah, it's a 3v3. Misses the Zenith Blade as they come in. They do have a little bit of a heal as well. We're going to see the flash cleanse from Reptile. Keep themselves safe. It's a disaster for Karmine Corp. They lose almost all their summoners, and they're going to be able to tunnel in onto 113. Should have the flag and drag very soon, but the flash forward, is it enough? It is! Ruby with a kill, and that is huge for Unicorns.
This doubles down on Karmine Corp, making a play on bot side, trying to recover something for them. We expected a lot of resources to be going top side, but Karmine Corp, they decide to path down a bot lane early and leave that on an island, but this is so risky. Bot has tons of early damage. Even though it's not the electrocute, it's still very high base damage from this champion. Pantera tanks up that tower for way too long. Good defensive teleports. Great response from the Unicorns.
And critically, the Zenith Blade doesn't hit. The Flag and Drag is flashed away from. The stun means that Leona can't even get in range. The cleanse as well. Everything was used so effectively by Unicorns. It was just better executed in defense. But I mean, I saw 1-1-3 there, and I was like, they're not going to dive here. He's just going to cover them. I thought that was too risky, and it backfired massively.
It does feel, I'm not going to say desperation already, but it does kind of feel like they lost out on that first place. Like, well, we can't be having any of that. We've got to get ourselves some advantages elsewhere. Again, Karmine Corp are so used to playing from ahead, playing with those early game advantages, and I don't know if they really wanted to give over early plays to Unicorns this early on.
I was going to say, like, we usually wait till the level 6 with the Rise, where he goes off, he realm warps, and he affects the side wave. The side waves are winning right now, and this is a bit of an issue right now for the side of Karmine Corp, and they're going to have to make it work. We talked about the Jarvan. He needs to be ganking non-stop. He will have the Flag and Drag. There is no flash onto Ivo, and that's going to be 1-1-3. Picking up a little bit of gold for the side of Karmine.
And it's really what you want. You want to be getting Cabo shot ahead. You find the opportunity. The flash was bit earlier. Not much that Ivo really could do to outplay that one. And just a solid return gank, and it's K-Corp returning things to normality.
So let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. I think those were two very important characteristic plays from Unicorns to say, look, again, a lot of this game is probably going to be determined in how much the Unicorns can get done early. Now, in terms of groups, in terms of the planes, of course, both these teams are planes teams. They've gone through a long distance in this tournament. Unicorns have typically been a team that wants to sit, get to 2 items, and then kind of team fight from there. They don't play for explosive early games in the way that some other teams have. And I feel like having an explosive early game is the main way you want to beat Karmine Corp. So it's good that Unicorns have shown that adaptability, come out all guns blazing.
And we talked about it. I said it right as we came into camera shot that we didn't expect explosive early games. We know that the Karmine Corp like to play towards top, but Unicorns of Love, they tend to be a little bit reserved. They go for the team fights. We expect, 25 minutes. We have big 5v5s, big epic moments. This hasn't happened so far.
I think if you're drafting a composition like this, though, you have to be committing to that, right? I think 2 items is such an ideal spot for them to fight. When it starts to get to 3, 4, that's where K-Corp become really scary. So I love that they are using this momentum. You even see now with the level 6 from Ruby, they're roaming up, they're applying pressure to that top lane. We'll see if K-Corp can answer, though.
Good to see. Realm Warp is around for Ruby. That's something which Shima was pointing out a little earlier. That's typically when we see the Rise starting to get active. Either way, though, it's still zoning Capshot away. It's still making sure they're a little further behind in that XP. Of course, when Lucian gets to Mythic plus that Ultimate, you get that ability to really hammer down a lot of lane opponents, and just making sure it takes just a little bit extra amount of time to get to that point. It works in Unicorn's favor again.
And there's a decent lead now for the Graves, right? 10 CS up, and he got that first blood, which is obviously worth more gold, whereas Capshot only has that assist. So just gradual things that lean upwards. You don't actually have to go for the dive. It does just apply that pressure and put your matchup further ahead.
And this is a big thing as well. We talk about, someone who is going to be a pivotal part of Karmine Corp. It has been Cabochard. It has been this guy in the top lane and how he's been able to kind of work around some of these stats. 4 solo kills, second in the EU Masters, or Amazon EU Masters. CSD at 14 plus
That's
20.
huge.
It's a ridiculous amount of stats. He's not been given it so far.
And this is something that we saw kind of echoed on the opposite side of the map in pre-show when they talked about Reckless and his own individual advantages. Cabochard does that absolutely too. Cabochard being set up for success and then using the resources put into him so efficiently. He is a real true carry in the true sense of the word in this game. And speaking of that, might be the source of a play again.
Here we go. They're going to get the magical journey over, but 1-1-3 was in position. He does have himself the Cataclysm. There is no magical journey now, and that means Dreamer Ace has to respect. So, a little bit of an early gank on Arai, and that means the pressure in the bot side can go over to Karmine.
Yeah, we do see actually Lurus looking here, though, but won't quite get in range. Early heal keeps Reckless safe. But I do like the roam coming out from Dream Race, because as much as he loses his flash, his presence there meant that 1-1-3 couldn't find a gank. And actually, he's having a bit of trouble here, getting forced into the pit. But when your jungler's on the bot side, I think you have to be a bit cautious about overstaying here.
But this is kind of now starting to get a bit more even. Actually, the gold is only within a couple of hundred. Dream Race gets unlocked from their lane, but at what cost? They have the opportunity cost of blowing their flash. Of course, they don't die in that top side, but while that is happening, you're losing plates on bot side, you're losing CS in bot side. There is a significant advantage being being given over to Reckless in that bot side. He's gone top again because he wants to find some advantage. Has to really start making this work now, though.
Oh, Cabo Shard. He needs to be so careful. There's going to be a Bard coming off the back of this. He's not quite level 6, but can he get behind the turret? He can! That is the power of Illusion with the dash. Keeps himself safe, and now Ibo might be in a little bit of trouble. He's going to need Dream Erase to get him the hell out. They're waiting for the cooldown on the Magical Journey. 113's thinking about it. They do not land the Cosmic Binding, and that's going to be in a little bit more trouble. Everyone from Karmine Corp's coming up here. The Flag and Drag does not land, but the Zenith Blade does. The Shurima Shuffle is good. 2 more kills, swapping over to Karmine.
And the problem is you're going for this play as Dream Erase with no support from your team. You don't have your mid moving up. You don't have your jungler there. So when it ends up getting extended, you don't get the kill. K-Corp collapse and they punish. 2 kills picked up and now a goal lead in their favor.
And it is, as you were saying, Ashin, it's not the whole team supporting, right? You've got one person going up there, but you think about some of the earlier plays we had around topside. It was just, oh, one person roaming up. Maybe the support ends up there a little bit later, but Unicorns not quite sticking the landing, and what looked like good entrance to this game right out of the gates has started to get clawed all the way back to Comical, who are just out skirmishing and out rotating at this point.
Yeah, and critically in this situation, you don't have the ult from Dream Race to try and dive further. You don't have the ult from Ibo to finish off Cabashard, and then you just too overextended the lane. They try and, you know, stall out for some cooldowns. Don't let Ibo get engaged on, but honestly, Dream Race should have just run. You should have known that the rest of the team are coming. You have no flash. Once the Cataclysm hits, that's it.
And actually, one big discrepancy I want to really point out that is actually the difference between Dream Race and Hantera. Hantera, probably the first time we've seen them get involved in this game besides that botch dive, but first time they get out of lane, they make it work. Dream Race has been, feels like over-forcing it a little bit, maybe feeling the pressure of this game, feeling the pressure of the nameplates on them, that expectations which you were talking about before. But Hantera coming out with a much more efficient play in the moment.
I think for Karmine Corp as well, this is just showing great grit on their part as well. You started off honestly horribly. You lost on top side, bot side dive when could not have gone any worse.
Rough start.
Yeah, it was a rough start, and you've brought it back. You're now ahead on gold. You're able to kind of control much more, you know, larger portions of the map. And now you start to see with level 9s coming up to level 11s, we are going to start to see teams start to link up a lot more, looking towards those big objectives.
This is also where Azir starts taking over the lane a bit more as well earlier on into the game. You can see that base damages from Ryze's combos start to clear through minions very, very quickly. It's one of the reasons you can get out onto the map. That starts to turn around. Luckily, well, okay, normally in the case though, bot lane starts to shift around this point as well, where Aphelios starts to have a bit more kill threat on the Jinx, and you get to turn around to that priority. But because you're behind in bot lane, that doesn't even happen. Karmine Corp have weathered the early storm and now have basically the whole map playing out in the fashion that they want it to.
And I feel like that's the thing, there's so much attention from Unicorns put towards this top lane to try and stabilize the matchup, but I feel like this isn't a game that you can be satisfied with stabilizing. I feel like we said, coming out of draft, you need to be ahead if it's going to work out, and now K-Corp, they're in a comfortable spot.
Yeah, and for Unicorns of Love Sexy Edition, are they now looking opportunistically? Are they trying to find, you know, the odd number skirmish, or are they looking towards something else?
I think opportunism is probably the way you want to phrase it. Of course, you still have your Tempered Fate, you still got your Realm Warp, you have the ability to pick people off before, again, the phalanx starts to form. But to do that, you've got to have your vision. You can see that Karmine actually, across the bot side, have got a lot of wards. One of those wards is stopping Reptile from backing.
So annoying.
And honestly, this might be enough for K-Corp just to go for the dragon here. Reptile was trying to go for this reset, but the fact he's not able to, there's prio mid, prio bot. K-Corp should be able to answer this, and now with the dragon apiece, they feel really comfortable. Yeah,
and you can see already, Unicorns of Love, they're moving away from it. They're moving towards that top side and saying, look, we're going to try and get as much as we can here. Cabochard is trying to clear out the wave as the Realm Warp comes in. He's already down to below half HP, but he's already gotten the wave away. So this is a dive, and Lorax, you never reset the tower. Oh, there's one! Can he get another? No, he can't, but in a 1v3, you take those!
Oh my god, what an absolute disaster! Just walks in, takes 2 tower shots, and dies!
Very rarely am I left like without a load of words to say. That one is just pain. It's just pain because you can see they want to make the play. It kind of mirrors a lot of what they did in the early game. They know they want to make a play. They just don't know how to make the play presented to them. This one, again, you can see that. Cabashard really forces them into this bad situation. Immediately clears out the wave. Okay, yeah, sure, you got to tank this up.
Highlight the moment where Lorax realized he messed up. Sorry, got the sick one.
We're still learning.
What you don't realize is that was a 2-digit score out of 10, and it was 0-0.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really. I mean, again, It does feel like Unicorns understand that the time to make a play was then. He just didn't find that way to connect the dots. And not for the first time this game, Karmine Corp putting the pressure on them and seriously outplaying.
That's a big moment as well. You see the kind of rushed Herald drop into the mid lane. It's not a terrible use of it. If you can get the second one, which is spawning very, very soon, you will hopefully be able to try and get that tower down. But it does mean that you're not really getting the most out of that buff. So it is starting to look a little bit scrappy from Unicorns of Love.
And it looks like they're a little bit unsettled. Can't really read into body language of the gameplay as much. But again, they're not firing on all cylinders right now. And this is only game 1 of a best of 5. Bring down that a little bit and just say, okay, maybe have to start thinking about future games if a couple more of those bad plays come in. Again, it's actually not too far in the gold lead themselves, but as also saying, but you do eventually get eclipsed in terms of the damage you've got out, and you start to lose these plays across the map.
Oh, this is going to be a solo player committed as well. They put in a lot, but the Bard ultimate keeps everyone in stasis. Now Hantera's kind of wandering around, not really knowing what's going on. Cabochard tanks the tower, but he will pick up a kill. He's ignited, and he will fall to the Bard. Now, can you get everyone else out, Karmine Corp? It looks like they should be able to, but the flash from Hantera looks like they might want to try and burn it, or maybe just turn this one around. Hantera is kind of by himself, so he needs to be very careful. They're trying to get this Azir in, but the soldiers just can't do anything. They pick up a kill on the backside of them, and Karmine Corp got too antsy.
Just a massive overstep, going way too close to the tower. Cabochard ends up tanking it up, and just an unnecessary, messy play there. Kind of an unforced error, but Unicorn's happy to respond.
Okay, this is a little bit what we've seen from this split of Karmine Corp as well, where they'll go into a situation, I'll just say, look, we'll just outplay. This time, though, not nearly as precise as some of the punishes earlier in the game when there was Unicorns actually starting off that play. So a bit of a reprieve now for the Prime League squad. Going to take themselves their first turret of the game, start opening up that map. Maybe they can start using that Realm Orbital to a little more effect if the map gets more open.
I think this game's just kind of devolved into a little bit more scrappy moves as we kind of look at this one here, because again, this is K-Corp saying, we know what we want to get, but they just didn't execute on it right. And there's a Jigsaw that I didn't even see on the game, and actually, oh my god, no way.
No.
Does he stop him? He does. There he is. Anyway, but yes, coming back into this one here, it's a native 3v3.
Negative because he stops the reset, so he's able to move over. And in this play, Cabochard ends up tanking up the tower, and Seiken comes in late, and they're like, okay, we have the backup. This is why Unicorns are so tentative, but because Ruby is there, they feel confident. And honestly, 113 Hantera should have just flashed out here, but instead they try and overcommit, and it's just very messy.
Continuing upon the scrappy nature of this, I saw the picture-in-picture. That was another Bard ult throw, and Seiken gets out with a shuffle back to his tower, but continuing to scrap around. I think when you look at these champions, particularly on the side of Unicorns, again, we want to see them making more plays. Maybe around less sets of objectives when they are trying to be a bit more scrappy, but it's not quite, again, working out for them currently.
K-Corp setting up for the second Herald. I'm going to say that if Unicorns could get this, it would be fantastic, right? Smashing the mid-tier 1.
Buying into your really first 5v5 of the game.
But that's the problem, right? Having to fight them head-on is going to be difficult to execute. Although, K-Corp are looking to have vision. If someone oversteps, right, if Seiken is too far forwards, someone gets caught out, that is the opportunity you could look for. But it isn't Azir. Not an easy target to pick.
Not exactly an easy target, but I will say that the vision control from Karmine there was scrappy. It was kind of not really all around the Rift Herald. It was kind of centralized around the pit and then nothing off to the sides, versus the opposite there for Unicorns of Love. But they kind of said, well, we know you're not going to go for it because we have all this other vision around it. We can see you're moving. We can see you kind of going for different things. And now, with the Dragon now spawning, both teams of the Dragon apiece, we're going to see TPs coming in. And this could be a very interesting one. Rekkles has no flash for this potential fight. This could be huge.
And, you know, with that word scrappy, say it enough times and maybe start creating a ritual which brings in the mystery machine crashing through the wall. Got to investigate what's going to happen around this one. Dragon, though, is Karmine Corp again going towards that 5v5. Reptile looking for something.
1-3 is going to be chunked out a little bit. There's the Tempered Fate. It's going to land on Hantera. Not exactly the ideal target, but he's isolated and left on his own. He tries to flash his end of play. The flash will be good enough. See, now you don't have that tool available to you, and the Chompers are on cooldown as well. Both teams hovering over this objective. This could get very rough.
Yeah, now the plan should be to approach Rekkles, the one without flash, without the ult. They're looking for a flank instead.
There we
Dragon's
go.
getting low.
2,000 just under it. There's going to be the ultimate there from the Lucian. They're trying to go on top of it. The Dragon's left the pit. As you can see, Ivo trying to go for it. They will take away the Dragon. And now Unicorns of Love can start pushing forward. Reptile thought about using the ultimate there from the rise, but didn't take it in the end. Dreamer Race goes a little bit too far forward, but it's all a bit of a bait. Now look at Reckless. Triple kill for the 80 carry on the side of Unicorns as Reckless is still pushing forward. He's huge with these rockets. They need to be careful though. That's still a Xin Zhao and a Rise. It's a 3-for-2 overall right now as Reckless doesn't know where the Xin Zhao is. They're trying to bait him in, coerced him closer, ever so closer, but Reckless knew that something was up. He did not know where the Xin Zhao went, and now Lorix has to flash away. He should be able to keep himself safe and alive. Dragging over the Unicorns 3-2 in the fight.
And ultimately, they never got in the back line. That's the critical thing. You no longer had the bottle, you couldn't close the distance, and then they overstepped, and this is where a Jinx Azir can absolutely thrive.
And honestly, it felt like Unicorns had done the hard work. They'd done the heavy lifting. You got the dragon, you got the first kill. That's good. Don't push your luck, and they certainly pushed a little further.
I love how Reptile was thinking about going to the Reckless. And he made the right call, but still, it's just they never end up getting on top of Reckless here. Still full HP at this point. Starts getting those resets in.
We've unmasked the villain. It was Bard all along. That tunnel was not one to be taken. I appreciate the boldness in one sense, but now is not the time to be doing that.
I feel like Bard does always tread a very fine line between inching and carrying.
So, funnily enough,
Hero
that line,
and fool.
But really, the funny thing about the line, Bard is the one champion of the game I refused to buy. I was too traumatized by his release in Season 5. Many an ult got me sent into the respawn chamber. So Dreamer looking to hopefully not reprise that kind of performance, although he's getting caught.
He's looking like he might be trying to do a little bit of a Nightmare cosplay right now because he's got himself right back to the gray screen.
We saw which side of the line that was on.
I was going to say, we can tell you which one that was on. But again, this is something we have been very critical of the side of Unicorns of Love so far in the Amazon EU Masters. They just go for plays where it's like, you're already getting bot lane, just trade it off.
But just actually recapping the end of that play, because we saw that pick onto Bugs, you know, a lot of crazy things happen. Zoom back up there. Karmine got just before the Baron spawn, actually took that second Herald, something that you're talking was so important maybe for Unicorns to get to break open maybe that mid lane out of turret. Karmine Corp get that extra resource themselves, they get themselves an extra pick, and actually it's a pretty good opportunistic play.
And I feel like the problem is if you don't break that tier 1 against Azir, it becomes very difficult. You have to find some side lane pressure, you have to find a situation where you've won a team fight or caught them on a bad rotation. But if you have either the Jinx or the Azir set up there, you're going to struggle. They have so much wave clear between them and they can afford just to stall out.
And kind of touching on the other bit of the wave play, seems like ever since maybe Season 8 to Season 9, we've seen 80 carries just get parked in the mid lane. You don't really get to have like your Kai'Sa or Isaiah sat in the side lane anymore, farming up there. You become a controllable tower in the mid lane, and having this Jinx and this Aphelios, it just means that you are just ping-ponging these waves back and forth, and that second Herald becomes so important to break open that deadlock. And Unicorns need to find themselves a big power play to stop breaking up the momentum of this game. It's starting to fall behind.
One thing I will say is K-Corp can't really use the Herald that effectively with the Bard available, as his ult will just always cancel. So it does mean that it's not quite as useful a tool for them, but if they do manage to pick Dreamer Ace again, it does obviously set them up just to smash down that tier 1.
I actually just realized I said, oh, they're starting to fall behind. Okay, the gold is one thing. Dragons, of course, there, but see what happens if these carries start to go undamaged in these fights. Really worried for Unicorns if the game does start keeping on in this
Well, that's
direction.
what we talked about in the pick ban. It's like you're looking at the side of Karmine Corp. You have an Azir, a Jinx, and a Lucian. You will shred objectives and you will destroy health bars as well. If you're untouched in team fights, there is just not really a lot you can do. You are relying so heavily on this Xin Zhao Bard engage, which is so very temperamental that it's going to be a little bit hard for Unicorns of Love Sexy Edition to try and execute on. The one thing I will say is, right now, they do have side lane pressure and they are starting to put a little bit of that into top lane.
I feel like at this point, 2-item spike, I think Unicorns are still very much in it. I think when it gets to 3-4, especially when we get percentage penetration from the likes of Reckless and Saken, who can just shred through the tank Rise, that's where I really start to feel like they're going to struggle in team fights. So they still have a window now, they still have a bit of a goal lead, and they're up in Dragons, 45 seconds till that next one.
All right, we guys are going to say 45 seconds on that next Dragon. Do you even contest it as Unicorns? Do you leave it? You have to in the bank.
I feel
like it's a win condition.
Or rather, not doing it is a loss condition. It's almost a negative reinforcer saying, you don't do this, you're going to be in a very, very bad spot. It's not a great situation for them, but I'm caught, you know, speaking of that, Herald, don't have bottom position to ult this currently, and actually, Herald's not even needed. It's
I think it was so low, not worth using it, and I actually really like the timing from K-Corp, because they get the pressure, they get the tower down, and Dream Race, if you wanted to ult the tower to protect it, wouldn't have the ult for the fight, so a great spot to utilize that. Gonna try and keep applying some pressure, but now with the Azir tower down, very hard to contest at mid-prio. K-Corp move towards the Dragon, just gonna swoop down and establish control of the area.
Cabochard does have TP. You've got pretty much summoners all available across the board for Karmine Corp. You are still waiting on a flash for Dreamer Ace. Apart from that, it's going to be a pretty big 5v5. Ibo's on the flank.
Okay, also used it. Cabochard's coming in, just got an item completion, has the Cyril, this huge power spike for that Lucian. Watch to see how much damage he can do.
There we go, there's the Moonlight Vigil down. They're going to get a decent amount of damage done, but no one goes down just yet. It's very tentative as Ibo now going to try and see if he can maybe deal with Cabochard, who's feeling a bit of a 1v1. Never mind, he calls in his friend Seiken to get the Graves off to the backside of the Dragon. Now, you have to use the magical journey to get yourself out of the back of this. It's Dreamer Ace. Ruby's on the flank as they look to try and make this one work. Reckless is a little bit caught, and he gets hit by the Everfrost as well. They found Reckless, and they're able to take him down. Shut down, goes over to Ruby. They trade it back 1-for-1, but 113 is dead. This Dragon should be... Ruby is popping off, but not to be outdone by Seiken. Keeps himself alive. They're going to go for it, but they're only throwing one person there. These health bars are low. There's going to be a Xenoblade over the backside to stop the chase, and Unicorns get everything.
It's close. I don't think it's quite enough for them to go for the Baron, though. Health bars are low, but Unicorns, the flank coming in from the solo laners did so much there. When they struggled to engage, they managed to use that to get onto the backliners.
And what a bizarre fight in general, because it was Unicorns who did have that side lane pressure. They had the bot lane shoved in, the top lane shoved in. They had different angles of attack, and yet they still kind of chose to go for it down the front team fight. And of course, we're going to go into a replay to see how all of that came across. And what really stunned me in a lot of ways is how many of these tools are used right at the start from Unicorns to try and get themselves an advantage. It didn't really work. They took a two-part fight, and the second part was much harder than the first, and they still made it work.
But then what I love is we see Ruby coming around here, and we see on the other side Ibo coming from this flank, and it just means there's nowhere for the bot lane for the AD carry to go, nowhere for Seiken other than to reposition further towards the Dragon. And then it just means they can't really play that safe backline role that we saw the Azir and Jinx do in that earlier fight.
And we've seen it so many times, the cleanse versus the heal. You know, it feels like if he has a cleanse there, he instant gets it out, he maybe flashes away, keeps himself alive, but not having that available, not having that instant CC cleanse there means that he was just left a sitting duck, and they can keep pushing down the pressure, keep putting down the damage. And now Unicorns Alone find themselves up about 2,000 gold, maybe about 1,500. This is a much closer game.
And they have Soul Point, but the way they've gotten to this point is very surprising for me. It's Karmine Corp getting a bit out team for, honestly, because it feels like Karmine Corp, they were coming into this monsters of the team fight, monsters of the 2-item power spike and being able to play around these crazy carries, but in this game so far, Unicorns have been getting the better of the 5v5s, which is not what I expected from Draft. It's not what I expected from name cards.
But we do need to see Unicorns continue this momentum, right? They had that 2-item spike, which I feel like they were very comfortable on, but they need to keep the pressure going. Dragon fight in 3 minutes should be a big one.
Ooh,
yeah,
my lord.
I love how in the previous fight we had that as well, where he just cullinged the Graves, and then the Graves like auto-queued, and he was like, you know, keep your distance.
All right, man. All right. I wasn't looking for a fight. Like I was just trying to see how you doing. You know, like, I just wanted to see if it would tickle you. But this is where the game starts to get a little bit tentative now. You have a lot of tools available for Karmine Corp. You need to use them more effectively. We are seeing the team fights get a little bit scrappy. And yes, you talked about the team fights being a little bit better. We will see a TP come out here. Does he have the solar flare? He does.
Ooh, okay.
Uh-oh.
Ibo. You're up a creek, you're out of paddle.
That's
he's just
not
going to try
your side of the map.
Yeah, that's not where you belong, but he's going to try and trade it back as best he possibly can. Nothing else he can really do. That's some good heads-up play there from Karmine Corp, and it means they can mitigate some of that early pressure on the sidelines.
It makes you see on the way pings towards Baron. I mean, the fact that Ivo is down, TP is unavailable, I don't think it's quite enough, but they should definitely start to establish vision in the area. It's 2 minutes, though, till that Dragon. That is going to be a pivotal point of the game.
The question is, you know, you've got those 2 minutes to sort out the map somehow, some way as Karmine Corp. You have to find a way to stop Unicorns being able to get those people coming around the flank yet again. So that was the real determining factor of that last fight. Managed to actually get into that backline. Cabochard gets that shutdown, gets that kill on the side lane, gets to push in the bot lane, and now actually they're using this to go towards Baron.
They would be at a disadvantage if they're at the Dragon, because obviously it's Soul for Unicorns and not for them, so instead they commit to the Baron play on even footing.
TP coming in from Cabochard at the top of your screen. Now we're going to see Unicorns of Love try and contest around this. You've got 113 taking down about half HP, but they've got the Dragon down about 2,000 HP. They can stun it though and put it into stasis. Lorax is trying to get himself into position as 113 pushes himself back and gets himself into the Cataclysm, but he's now dead. But they're just in a hot pot of just getting smashed by this Azir and Jinx. They need to make it work, but I don't know if they can, because Ibo and Ruby are huge. They're still pushing forward, but they haven't got the damage.
Such a close fight, honestly, and it ends up being a 3-for-3 overall. Dreamer is just flitting around the edges, looking to finish off Reckless, but can't quite find it. 50 seconds on the Dragon. Everyone will respawn, but No real advantage gained there.
We're even seeing out the end of this because so many champions just hit the ground. It was a huge mess of a fight. But we are going to see that mid lane outer turret being taken down. We are going to see actually all of the outer turrets now being taken down from Karmine Corp. The map is starting to get larger and larger, but in this fight, it's Karmine Corp just forcing the issue and saying, okay, you got to come into it, you got to try and take that 5v5. And as you were saying, Ox, it's much harder to do that around that Baron pick because you haven't established the same level of vision control. As soon as this happens, though, you have the Jinx in these in almost a perfect DPS scenario. They just can't close it out.
Yeah, they just end up coming too hard. This streamer shuffle here, you know, does a decent amount of damage, but doesn't finish them off, and then Seiken sacrifices his positioning for that. And now K-Corp are set up on that dragon, but it looks like Unicorns might just go for the Baron instead.
Yeah, they don't have to fight around this. They're the ones that have the 3 dragons in pocket. This isn't soul or soul point, but it's a quick dragon take.
Okay, and you don't have a magical journey. You don't have a tempered fate. You can't delay this. You can't rotate as quickly. What's the timer going to look like?
Here we go, 3,000 HP. They haven't got 113 there. There's the solar flare coming down as Lorix gets taken very low. He gets the smite down. It was so damn close. Now we can see the real fight as Ivo goes down. The Cataclysm has been used, and the Aphelios is dead. It's 2 kills, the Cabo Shard, and the rest of Unicorns need 1 away. Hantera may have gone a little bit too far forward, but he's got his own stasis, and now they have to try and turn this fight around. Ruby gets himself with the ultimate out, but they've killed absolutely everyone. Disaster.
It is a decisive call from the Unicorns, but they just don't have the timing on it. They say, okay, we got this. We're going to be able to secure the Baron, but how many people can we get out with? Not nearly enough. Now you're against that Azir and the Jinx tower killing menaces. You're going to lose a lot for this.
You know what? I'm going to ask, with or not with?
No, absolutely not. Again,
on or off Gromp?
Absolutely off Gromp on that one. And the thing is, you know, I was talking before about the scaling elements. You are kind of moving past the point in which you need to take control of this game. And critically, once again, the Cataclysm is so instrumental. So many tools used to try and keep 113 away, but then he does his job. He gets in, slams the Cataclysm down, and that just deletes the Aphelios from the map, and then the chase down. The magical genie actually ends up helping K-Corp.
There were so many factors working in Karmine Corp's favor here because so many of those tools were used as escape from the pit. They were used as trying to disengage the front line. It wasn't thrown onto the back line. Heck, Ibo completely shut out of that fight by the culling, which of course we saw kind of just tickle him earlier. It does a lot more damage at this point, and now Karmine Corp, they do with this.
Oh, they're just going to try and pick off somebody. And I think Hantera recognizes he is dead. Did not sweep away the vision. They get themselves a nice pick. It's nice. It's not game-changing, but at least Unicorns are still fighting.
I like how Cavashard and Seiken could have cancelled the recalls, but like, nah, we don't
Is it a carry? No. Okay, move on. We need to go reset.
Not even vaguely interested, but now you can start to see the big items coming in.
Oh, Reckless.
He's
Reckless. He has no flash, and he's going to be in a lot of trouble. He can go nowhere. Karmine Corp, you were doing it all so well. It's falling apart for them.
And this is such an awkward mistake because it's not like all of the Barons are gone. You can see that. I mean, Ruby's still up here on the top side, able to push waves into tower. And while we are getting to the point where Karmine Corp are getting to huge item completions, to get to the point where you take that 5v5 again, it's just going to get worse and worse for you. Doesn't apply to the split map in nearly the same way, and Karmine Corp kind of bought into that there.
And we see Unicorns finding those picks. If they can continue to do that and set up this dragon, that could be good for them. But I feel like this dragon is going to be that last big hope for the game because we've seen the Blighting Jewel come in for the Azir. We've seen the Lord Dominic's come in for the Jinx, and those just mean they're going to be able to shred through that Rise. This is a short-range composition from Unicorns, and if you can't withstand the damage, which you're going to very much struggle to do so once they have the percentage penetration, you're just going to get massacred.
Okay, so Unicorn's next phase of the plan, you've actually managed to retain at least a little bit of your Baron buff, still using it even on the one member. What can you do with this? Can you break the base? Looking unlikely.
Ooh, Ivo. They're going to put everything on top of him, and he's just dead. He just didn't respect anything. He had no flash to get out of it. They will have the magical journey. They will try and just lock down Ruby, but again, very, very tanky. There's a magical journey coming back off of this. There's going to be the Moonlight Vigil come completely wide, but Lorix gets revenge now onto the enemy jungler. They're going to try and maybe turn this on to Hantera, but Reckless and Seiken are still in the position. They go aggressive as Reptile. Wants the 1v1, and he gets it. Will trade away, but Seiken with the Emperor's Divide absolutely routs Unicorns of Love and Karmine Corp. They may have looked shaky, but they are still on solid ground.
And that'll do it. Triple kill for Cabo-Shard. If you get him ahead, he will take over the game. And even though Reckless goes down, he's there to clean up. K-Corp smash that fight.
And this is such an awkward scenario. I mean, you do have your Bard in the area, and part of me just wonders, Why isn't the Tempered Fate put out here? Ivo has no flash, doesn't have the ultimate. He's obviously in an awful spot at this point. Where's the disengage? Where's the communication? And Unicorns, they decide to let their Graves go down. Maybe thought it was a bit of a lost cause, but after this point, they buy into the fight afterwards.
And the thing is as well, Reptile does so much damage here and plays that Assassin and Phelios role to just burst out Reckless. But he was so late to the fight, right? It was just initially Unicorn super overextended without their big carry there, and he ends up trading 1-for-1, but when there's also an Azir and a Lucian, trading 1-for-1 isn't really worth it. And now, K-Corp in a really comfortable position, and this next Dragon, I feel like if Unicorns don't get it, that's probably it.
20 seconds, and it is Karmine Corp who have priority over it at the moment. We are hitting critical mass. You can see it's just a Vampiric Scepter there for Reckless waiting to be turned into a Bloodthirster. They pop down the Shurima's Legacy into mid lane. Now, where do you want to see Karmine Corp, they have control. Why do you want to see Unicorns of Love try and wrestle it back?
Okay, they have some control, but they don't have the bot wave push, nor do they have a... Okay, this is gone.
Yeah. Wow, that was quick. I should have given you a little bit more time. Apologies. I should have given you more time for that setup.
I blame K-Corp for that. That was far too quick.
Guys, make it easy for us.
All right, well, we come now back into the game. It was incredibly close, but because of that fight, we now have 3 dragons apiece. We are both sitting on Soul Point. It is about a 3,000 gold lead, maybe a little bit more towards Karmine Corp. It doesn't make that big of a difference at this point in the game. And we start to look towards the next big objective, 45 seconds until Baron, but where can you work with this? Because I feel like Reckless and Sacred are just getting too big.
And at this point, I mean, if you actually try and dive onto these characters at this point with this amount of items built up with the 2 Infernal Dragons on top of it, they are in legitimate one-shot territory. Neither team is particularly tanky. It's about who gets caught first. And it seems like Karmine Corp, with the wards that they're putting down, moving in force, moving in numbers, they have the advantage on that front.
Right, Unicorns, the fact they didn't get that Dragon, it's 4 minutes till the next. K-Corp will take control of the Baron area, but I just don't feel like they're pressured to actually start it up. They can take their time on this one. They have swept out the vision quite aggressively here, though, but there is still that scuttle that's been cleared, that shrine, given some vision. You see the Unicorns trying to push up mid.
Here we go.
Control.
Just going to try and put a little bit of poke damage down. Maybe have a Hex Flash if someone goes a bit too far forward. Cabochard went back and now coming back into the mid lane. This could be the final fight for both of these teams. Baron has spawned and the poke is coming in. That's going to be the splash into the Cataclysm. Ruby gets hit in by Antera, but it's a bit separated. They've had to walk away from the Moonlight Vigil. That does a very good job at separating out Karmine Corp. Now, one person dead. Can you still go for this Baron?
Well, you've used a lot of your flashes, importantly, too, from Karmine Corp. If you do get stuck in this pit, one flash from Bard might end up...
wreck this!
We saw it happen to the Dragon.
It's gone! The Realm Warp's going to be coming in, but it's way too late. They've got the Jinx Trompers. Ruby is going to be trying pushed away. They need to try and take a fight here, though. They know they have an advantage, but only a 3v4. They're going to go for it. The flash from Lorax means that Saken's in a little bit of a precarious position. They're still just hunting down Dreamer Ace. Has got a flash to get himself back over the wall. The TP comes in. They do not land. The Cosmic Binding as if 113 tries to sacrifice himself. It's a trade of jungle for top. You still have so many great damage dealers here on Karmine Corp, and Unicorns Love have to respect it.
Even though they got that initial pick, even though they managed to take out...
Jigsaw.
Managed to take out 113 there, it just doesn't matter until you get on top of these carries. They're such a massive threat. Baron secured from K-Corp. They can be happy with that takeaway. And man, I feel like this fight, the problem with it was Saken and Reckless just couldn't really do damage, right? Smokescreen initially zones away Reckless there, and then we have the Tempered Fate, which gets thrown down on Saken. So Antera and 113 are kind of overextended without the follow-up damage.
And this is kind of a little, I'm not going to call it a flaw, but it's a feature of the Karmine Corp composition where, again, you're just not very tanky, and while you are ahead in terms of your own damage, it doesn't stop Unicorns having their own damage too. You can see how much damage individual skills are doing to their backline, and no one's really wanting to stand there and face the brunt of what Unicorns can throw on the turnaround.
You can see as well, just in those small little moments, Karmine Corp just outrange Unicorns of Love so heavily that even though Saken overextends completely for that ultimate, they get the CC down, they can't walk forward into him.
I think the problem as well is even if you find a situation where you can take out Reckless, take out Cabochard, they're still Saken, right? If you take out 1 or 2, if the other is in a position to clean up, you still lose the fight at the end of the day. And those 3 are so incredibly strong at this point, closing in on full build. In fact, Cabochard is full build, and now getting control of the Dragon area. This is sold for either team.
Listen, this is the big moments. This is where these tournaments are made and broken.
So very tanky. Still, Leona pops that W and keeps himself a lot of resistances. There's going to be the Crescent Guard to keep Lorox, very healthy, but now he doesn't have access to that tool. It's just Karmine Corp suffocating the vision, making sure that Unicorns of Love Sexy can't walk forward. Cabochard, you have to be very careful, my friend. You can get chunked out just as much.
And you look at Graves having the ultimate, has a collector. That could be a very free GA pop down. It is, again, a story of who gets picked first. It's who oversteps that first time. And that's where the mentality in these late game scenarios, which is so hard to train, comes into effect. Know that there's a lot of expertise on both teams, a lot of tenure on both teams. They need to put it to the test here again.
Here, let's have a look now. A quick little test of what you got available. GA there for Cabochard, which you just mentioned. You've got double stopwatches here for Unicorns of Love. You've got one on Ibo and one on Reptile. They could be key. You're a full build on Ruby. He's as tanky as he's ever going to be. Anox, it's a tentative walk forward, but you have to fight this.
It's all about the carries on K-Corp. If they can gap close onto them, they will blow them up, but that is the big question, if they can connect.
So you're looking at all ultimates soon, ready and available again. Crescent Guard just comes up, and once again, we're in the 5v5.
Yes, we're going to see them both going in and try and make this. Remember, this will be shredded down by the AD carries. They have a realm up to bring someone on the backside. It's Ibo as he tries to make himself useful. He's gone. Deleted. Where did he go? But now they're going to try and make this dragon their own. They will secure it. But at what cost? Can Karmine Corp get this damage down? They're trying to make this one work. A flash away by Reptile. He's still doing the damage on the backside. Cabochard needs to back away because he's on absolutely nothing. He'll pick up Dreamer Ace, but lose his GA. The Infernal Soul goes over to Unicorns, but they've got some massive timers.
Again, it's at what cost? You're losing 3 members, and yeah, you take down 1 in the GA, but you've got to stop the push.
Cabochard has TP. They're going to try and look for the end here. I've got a feel they can keep the minion alive if they try and clear it out. Ooh. 2 members to defend, and still 20 seconds. Edge going to go for this.
They're going to go for it. They know that this is the moment because with the Infernal Soul now in the back pocket of Unicorns of Love, that's a lot of damage there onto Hantera. We can see there, they're moving forward. Cabochard gets rooted, has to go golden. Now, will he be caught out? The Solar Flare is good, but not quite good enough. The root, the blast forward, the shutdown, and now Reckless might be getting caught out here by the grabbing him gun. Unicorns of Love have got a bit of momentum. They survive the base.
And all this time, I was looking at Seiken, I was looking at the flash, but look at the TP.
It's a bit too far away. I don't know if they're going to be able to find it, but it's going for another one. It's a double TP. As they try and see where they can catch someone out. Unicorns of Love, they smell blood in the water.
Ruby doesn't have that ultimate, doesn't have that realm up, but they're still chasing.
Oh, Hantera.
They get out.
They get out. We can all take a sigh of relief, but Baron spawning at minute 20. 113 pops himself an elixir to keep himself alive. They do use the Tempered Fate and the Realm Warp, but then they can turn this one around. It's Karmine Corp trying to make this one work. Reckless on the backside, trying to see if he can do the damage, but he has to get himself away. You've got so much there. Seiken is taken out, and Karmine Corp, they go for the sneaky play. They go for the little bit of cheese to add to their wine, and it ends disastrously.
See, that's the redemption putting down. Hantera, Reckless corner, rock in a hard place.
They've got nowhere to go, nowhere to be, and now it's Cabochard all by himself to try and defend. There's not a great amount of waves available to them. They may try to end through top.
40 seconds, the mini wave so far away. They can definitely do damage to the base, but I don't think they'll be able to end off this push.
Cabo.
Well, it takes one more pick, though. It takes one more pick. He's going for it, though.
Going for it. He's trying to get on the Ruby, but he's so tanky. He's just got so much. Now Cabo's caught between a rock and a hard place. Trying to turn this one all the way around. Will flash forward. Trying to get something, but will get him out of the magical journey. Cabo is keeping Karmine Corp in this for as long as he possibly can, and Baron's spawning.
The solo mission to find a pick, buy some time, and stop Unicorns from making any more of that push. And now, Dream Race is down for such a long time. He's the wards for Unicorns. Looks like they might just stop the Baron on spawn, though.
And you know what we were talking about in terms of those late game instincts, so hard to train, but Cabochard's been around for a while. He knows how to make the most out of them. Teleport from Seiken, this could be a potential contest. 1-1-3's in the area.
It's definitely a contest. They know it's going down, and that means that Unicorns of Love, they have to back away. There's the Super Mega Death Rocket, just in case, but they can shred this just as quickly.
Even faster, even. You've got the Azir stood behind that pair. 1-1-3. Tanky enough to actually tank it this time, though.
They could put the TP into mid lane. There's pings going down onto it as well. So this is all or nothing right now. Both teams are basically critical mass. We're going to see Seiken going in, but he's going to get caught out and force the flash away. Now you have no Cataclysm. Lorax has to use his own defensive ultimate. But in the mid lane, it's going to be Dreamer Ace to defend it. 1-1-3 does not go down. Lorax as well, so low. Both these teams playing on the edge.
There is smoke and mirrors, and then there is this. This is going to be the back and the forth. 1-1-3. Doesn't take much to take him down. Baron does a lot of damage.
They do a lot of damage, but I think he should be fine to keep himself up, and they will secure it on the side of Karmine Corp. This game off!
I feel like so much analysis goes out the window at this point. It's just coming down to that raw execution and who pulls the trigger, who binds the window. Both teams so hesitant to approach because everyone feels so squishy in these late game scenarios, but K-Corp get the edge. They manage to hold on for long enough. The mid inhib does enough work with it being down, and they do secure that Baron. The Unicorns aren't ready to give up any space around this Dragon area. Elder is the next objective to look towards.
But you're still sat here now, and actually the items are starting to even out. Full items on your mid and your AD carry. Yes, you have the longer range scaling carries and all the rest of it in Karmine Corp, but one mistake can lead to a kill. One kill can lead to this whole first game going against you. And I tell you, if you don't have popcorn with you, go get some. Maybe actually wait around.
I was just about to say, no, don't go anywhere.
Okay, so if you don't have any popcorn, I'm very sad for you. Get it for next game.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it's going to be huge to see exactly who can come out of this one. And this is the momentum of this game into this series could be massive for either of these teams. Tit for tat, toe to toe. And Reckless needs to be careful. He's taking a bit of damage, as is Ruby. And they're going to be able to try and take this tier 2 now on the bot side. Lorax, you need to be careful, buddy. You're very much by yourself. And yet, Crescent Guard traded for the Solar Flare. Should be able to keep himself alive as I say that. 113 goes in, and they try to take that Lorax down, but they got not enough damage in mind. What happened?
It's got the Death Stance. The Death Stance it bleeds down, it burns down.
It ticked away.
And Karmine Corp, they find that moment to waste that Crescent Guard. No, there's no ultimate after that point, no flash, and Karmine Corp finding that pick could be so huge for them.
Moonlight Vigil down onto Reckless. He will take an absolute massive chunk as they look to try and make this one work. Reptile, it feels like it's all on him. He needs to make the poke work.
But critically, no jungler for Unicorns. The reset's going to come in from K-Corp, the empowered recall with the Baron, and they can get to that Elder and have 10 seconds before the Xin Zhao is ult. As Xin Zhao is up, this is going to be such a hard contest, but we see the replay, and Lurux just overextended here. Ends up taking so much damage, trapped in the Cataclysm. 113, trapping him, but not committing to stay, and just the damage is enough with that Death Dance tick.
And it does feel like that Xin Zhao Flash is quickly becoming, or has been for a while, probably the most valuable summoner on the map, because he has to get it so quickly. They're going to be hit too late. Maybe some Miracle Graves?
No, they're going to go Miracle Graves, but it is a Miracle stall right now. Ivo has nowhere to go. They're going to try and steal this one out, but they cannot. Elder has been secured. The top laner is dead, and there is blood in the water as Karmine Corp are hunting. They know they are stronger. They know they can take this game. Cataclysm down onto the carries. That is Ruby, and he's going to be taken out. You will lose your jungler, and it is still going to be Reptile to try and hold this, but I don't think they can do it.
Going to be so hard to defend against his push. The empowered minions and the threat of the burn as well. Unicorns are 2 members down. This should just be the end.
You're really looking for just a miracle from Reptile, but he doesn't have the Moonlight Vigil. He doesn't have enough mileage. At least they don't have the empowered Baron. They don't have the ability to take down these minions, but all it takes is, again, just one step too far forward. Your margins of error getting ever so much smaller.
How is this game still going?
They can't end. They don't have pressure in top or mid.
And you know, really, the big reason why they haven't been able to end, and for all of the name value on Reckless and how his stats have looked so great in the group stage, he's continuing to coat down so much damage. Reptile on the other side has really stepped up in this first game. I think a lot of us were expecting Reptile to be a player that was going to be really playing second fiddle to so many others in this series. And of course, we see that the Elder goes down as you're kind of removed of a lot of options, but just the threat of the Aphelios becomes so all-encompassing when you're diving into him.
And I think you saw K-Corp thinking this is the end. You see Seiken flash in to try and finish a fiber. You saw Reckless even flash over the wall. They were thinking this is game over. And the thing is, Elder has a minute left. They've just reset, they're coming back from the base, but it is going to time out probably before the game ends, and we no longer have summoners, no flash available for Seiken or Reckless.
You know what we also don't have? Boots, apparently.
I was going to say, the AD carries right now have sold away their boots, are moving towards
the shoes are off.
Yeah, the shoes are off, the gloves are off, and this is going to be down between Reckless and Reptile. The mids as well have to be facilitators to make sure these AD carries can go for it. It is not going to be a push to end just yet. You still have a couple of seconds left on this Elder Drake, but the wave clear is significant with this Infernum gun.
It doesn't work.
Yeah, you don't have that Baron buff. You're dealing into so much DPS into this. Oh, Ruby's taking damage though.
Oh, Ruby. Don't know if you're going to be enjoying that one there. That means you're going to have the Locket and the Redemption coming out for the first time in a while. We might even see 4 items onto a support. That's how long this game is going. 47 minutes into the scaling is exactly what you want to be looking at. But now we might have the final fight. TP is coming in off the backside of this.
Rise.
This is going to be the Rise, trying to make this one work for his team. Ruby has no vision on top of him, so they don't know he's coming in onto this. Dreamer Ace gets chunked. There's the Bardal. The Temper Fate is good. Reckless is separated. And Reckless is assassinated. Now the fight for Unicorns can really happen. The resurrection for Cabochard is nothing. Unicorns are still fighting, and Unicorns will get them the kill.
And there's smoke, there's mirrors, and there is magic from Unicorns of Love Sexy Edition. What a hard-fought game, but that is a huge team fight win.
And there's long death timers. They should just be able to push up mid and end this one out. It's only 113 alive. The minion wave is small, though. Actually, I feel like if he clears this out, if he smites the cannon,
I don't think they can do it.
Well, we can see. But I think you have to just tank the turret. And
here we go.
Remember, minions get a lot faster later into the game nowadays. They have to. Okay, 1-1-3. What can you do? Where's your wave clear?
Where's your wave clear? Indeed, he's going to use it all. Try and go into stasis. Delay, delay, delay. 20 seconds until Reckless. The cannon is still alive. They don't have. They actually do have a TP. They're going to be able to keep this one going. I think Unicorns have done it.
They might have just done it. They managed to protect that minion and go towards the Nexus.
What a game one here between the Dark Region and the LFL. This is the best of 5, gentlemen. This is a best of 5.
We've had